how is Yogi Bhajan able to take, so like, as in he's an ex-customs officer. He turns up in the US in the late 60s. Like, how is he able to go from literally a guy off the plane into then building up these businesses, including a guy's security, and on top of kind of his own personal wealth? Like, I know people who have been working for decades and they still don't manage to pull that off, and he seems to be able to turn up and it just happens. Like, what's actually going on behind the scenes, and is it as kind of sparkly and golden as it appears on the outside, or is there kind of more going on behind the scenes?
There's a lot of elements to that question, but I would start off by saying that for whatever reason, he attracted some pretty smart entrepreneurial people. And with his guidance, or it was not always the kindest guidance, but they were very motivated to do good. And I think it started as, again, with that hippie ethos. We want to live in community. We want to create businesses for ourselves so we can prosper. Also, the philosophy that he was teaching within yoga was we are householder yogis. There's a lot of prosperity talk, prosperity meditations. There's no shame in driving a white Mercedes and wearing a lot of jewelry. And so that was almost, kind of a goal. So you have all these entrepreneurs, they start out and they start out in the health food business, and they happen to ride the wave of the wellness, natural foods growth. So they start that. There are vegetarian restaurants throughout the country. They start natural foods distribution companies. And then there's the Yogi Tea Company as well. And a call starts out there, he's kind of teasing on the Sikh tradition, militarism and security. And they start doing security for small concerts in Albuquerque, for example. And the business kind of grows exponentially. There's also some political influence that he starts to develop in New Mexico. And it's a small state, and they have a big presence. And they have a physical presence. Presence. I mean, you see 3HO6, and they're wearing white turbans, all white. They have jewelry on. You kind of can't miss them, right? So they use that to their advantage as well. And so they start to gain political capital, and they start getting these bigger and bigger contracts. And I think after 9/11, one of the men running the company, I believe it was Diasing, gets a meeting with George W. Bush to talk about, anti-Sikh sentiments, and to talk about security. So then they start getting more and more contracts. And in addition to ICE, they were also earlier working for a company that would fly deported. They were doing security for an aviation company that would fly deported people back to their home country. So the ICE thing started, that wasn't just something that started last year. That's been a consistent contract that they have had in with those kinds of incidents.
Yeah, I think one way to understand the growth of the businesses is it was kind of like a keto. Yogi Bhajan could use the enthusiasm and the hopes and the motivations of his students and then direct it towards his own ends. So there's a documentary from the early 70s called Sunseed, and there's a great little clip that shows Yogi Bhajan I think in New York City it's late 1969, early 1970. And it seems kind of ridiculous. He's using hippie slang. You see him kind of very awkwardly saying something is far out.
Far out.
But I think that's very telling because he, like a customs officer, he could pick up on what was motivating people, what they were afraid of, what they were hoping for, what they liked.
Possible in the way by hooting and shooting, you are going to get everything. All you are the future of United States of America, and nobody is going to take away everything from you. You are to be peaceful, you are to be great, and you have to do one thing. Peace within your heart should lead you to have everything what you need. But be peaceful, calm, and absolutely quiet. They will give you what they call themselves to be. And today is their day, tomorrow is our day.
And so he is building them up by saying, you know, we can be this great spiritual nation. We have to create our own businesses. We have to prepare for the future. All the while, the actual structure of the businesses, who controls things, where the money is going, that's all going to him. And several people that we talked to, they said, if you take aside the exploitation and the various dynamics, it's an incredibly effective way to build up a business. You know, what entrepreneur wouldn't want to have a dedicated workforce that, you know, you can cut corners with, like, you know, labor laws and things like that. And several of them said, you know, the little hiccups and the trials that a new business would have, they could get through that because it was a religion. People literally felt that they were doing God's work by, you know, working in these kind of businesses and building them up.
One other point to the ability for the businesses to grow well and grow quickly is, again, using that religiosity and the concept of seva, whereby people were working for free or for substandard wages. So even, you know, at a certain point before Yogi Bhajan's death, you know, people who were running multi-million-dollar companies like Akal or Yogi Chi were making well below what a contemporary at another company would be making, a comparable position. So that also really helped. I mean, when you don't have to pay people, when you're paying them like in, you know, mung beans and chai tea, and you get free meals and you can live in the ashram and you can teach the yoga, and that's what your life is focused around. It's pretty easy to build a business when you don't have a lot of expense. We don't have to pay people very well.